want to give a special thank you to Otter Spirit for sponsoring this video. They are a family-owned jewelry brand that use hand-picked, high-quality gemstones for their bracelets, necklaces, and earrings. I love that they donate $1 from each bracelet to protect sea otters, and are so confident in their products that they even offer free exchanges and a 2-year warranty. Find out why I love these bracelets so much at the end of the video or in the timestamps. You can use the code blackdragon20 to get 20% off your purchase. It does help support the channel, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Otter Spirit, and enjoy the reading. Hello, and welcome to Black Dragon Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me for this timeless pick-a-card reading, where we will be unveiling a secret from your shadow. What is your shadow keeping from you, and why? So we have 3 piles for you to choose from. Pile 1 is this card. Pile 2 is this card. Pile 3 is this card. And of course, you can find these in the description. You can go ahead and select your timestamp. I'll also have a still image for you to take your time, meditate, pause, take as long as you need, but I will meet you at your pile. Hi, pile 1. If you chose this card, this is going to be your reading on what is your shadow keeping hidden from you and why. And the card that you chose actually represents why, and we'll say that it's kind of like why or what part of your past influenced your shadow to keep this hidden from you. I believe this is the Queen of Pentacles. See here on the top, it almost seems blocked, yeah? The potential to create abundance for yourself. But it's interesting that this is in the why. We also have a couple other cards, supporting this Queen of Pentacles, which is this. Okay, so for this, I'm reading these as oracles. I do wish that they had the numbers and all that for letting me know kind of like what card this is, but it's fine. Just letting you know, in case you're wondering. It's like, I don't know what this card is, but this card, a key, a magnifying glass, and some flowers. Some of you might know what flower that is. I have no idea, sorry. And then we have this, which seems like an Ace of Pentacles. Again, some more flowers in the background. And then we have the Raven and Wolf, symbiosis, combined effort, and alliance. And this is why this is being hidden. Specifically why your shadow is hiding this for you. And it kind of feels like your shadow is acting like a gatekeeper. Like, in order for you to acquire the kind of abundance and financial stability that you're looking for, you have to work with your shadow. And I think it's like, well, if I have to work with your shadow, why would it be hidden? But what's being hidden is your manifestation potential, and specifically your ability to make money for yourself. And it kind of is asking you to look very deep within. Why this is hidden is it's kind of your shadow wants you to investigate it as a part of you, or also kind of like as a separate entity, kind of doing research. And I think that while the part of your shadow that has the ability to really make things happen, again mostly financially, it's kind of like this part of you that was hidden away at childhood, specifically a unique skill that can help you make money, or a set of skills, and it's asking you to work with it very hard. A lot of again, symbiotic effort, but at the same time to kind of work with the shadows of other people. So this is the why this is being hidden from you. But let's look at what's being hidden, because I kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's really get into the meat and bones of the reading. What is your shadow self keeping hidden from you? Okay, so I'll leave these two So I guess we're doing this by fours. I chose 4 cards, 4 oracle cards, explaining the why, and I have 4 tarot explaining what is exactly being hidden by your shadow. And the ones that came face up are Strength and Two of Cups. And this kind of feels like what I had mentioned, a union, a combined effort between you and your kind of primal self. And that union could be seen as, you could imagine if people were to actually take the amount of time and effort that they tend to do, especially in the spiritual community, about I want to find my twin flame, I want to find my soulmate, I want to find this other person. If they took like a fraction of that time and tried to find like their soulmate within themselves, and specifically their shadow, this subconscious part that has such a massive influence on the daily life, I think they'll find that opportunities and potential, it's kind of like an unlocking of your own potential. And your shadow doesn't want this to be hidden from you, but it's kind of been cast aside, honestly. And it's really it's kind of funny because for this pile I feel like what's wanting to be unveiled is the shadow's fullest potential, to really be an ally, to really step up to the plate and deliver in ways that are a bit more direct. I think that's the biggest thing, is like making the shadow a real person, like a physical being that you could talk to and can, like, I mean, this is a silly example, but it's like having a bar back. Okay, so or a busser, anyone in the hospitality industry, kind of, if you've been serving or behind the bar or whatever, there's, you know, the bartender, server, and then people that help bring kind of the dishes out and bring, like, refill the ice, and they do the juicing for the bar and all this. And it's kind of like it's a physical person that you could ask to do something. So, can you please get me this for this table? Can you please bring me juice? Can you please do this? And it's that direct interaction. And I think it's kind of like you've been trying to do more than you have to because you have this support. So in a similar fashion, like if it's incredibly busy, you don't really have time to be making fresh juice in large quantities in the middle of a rush or something like that, and you don't have to. And I think that's part of the reason why you're having trouble potentially making the kind of money that you can be making, because the shadow wants to be a little bit more active in your experience. And in, I don't know, it's like, especially with a creative endeavor where the channeling, you could argue, comes from the subconscious and the shadow. Channeling this message is, I mean, that's why it's Black Dragon Tarot. That's kind of like the subconscious is doing the work, and it's up to you to kind of like step aside and recognize when your conscious self is, it's kind of like your conscious self creates the blueprint, and then again the work gets done by this shadow. And then we have the Six of Cups and Four of Swords. And yeah, this Four of Swords is just saying, really elaborating on what I had just mentioned, stepping aside. And we can even see the light and day contrast here, where there's this laying down the dream world and taking it easy during the day, and they just go together really well, you know. So what's interesting is the Six of Cups. I'm probably going to get a couple cards, or at least one card, to elaborate on this, because it's interesting. I wasn't going to say that this was a part of your past that causes the shadow to hide this potential from you, but it seems like, at least for this pile, there's a need to dive deeper into what caused this, you know, what caused you to kind of see or neglect the potential of your shadow. Okay, and then we have the Star. I think, so the Seven of Swords and the Star. And it kind of feels as though a dream might have been taken away from you. and you blame your shadow for it in a lot of ways, or some situation in your past that was lovely kind of fell apart unexpectedly, and it feels as though at a subconscious level again, like your shadow self feels as though it can't fully trust anything. And it's interesting that if you think about it, like your shadow self doesn't fully trust you to commit to the things that you say that you're going to do, and vice versa. Again, this is kind of like subconscious again, but you don't fully believe that your shadow is capable of taking full control, and which is why you might feel the need to stay awake even though your body might want to sleep, so that you can get more of this deep work done. It's kind of what, like, when you listen to, especially with music, lyrics that have multiple meanings, and a lot of times that's done intentionally, but I think at a much deeper level, there's ways that other people can interpret the music that even the artist didn't think about, but was actually there put deliberately as kind of like a unified collective unconscious that's kind of manifesting and expressing itself through the song. And I think there's this creative part of you that needs to put in that work, or not even the opposite actually, to just investigate what wants to be brought forth and how you could step aside to let it happen. So, spoiler alert, this was supposed to be a mini reading, and it's gonna be mini. I'm not rushing. I like the focus that comes with, look at this soul work that comes with mini readings. There was a, I guess, fairly recent reading with the bees, so that could be confirmation about that. I think I want to get another card. Ancestors. Wow. The roots at the bottom. So part of this could be, and I'll put the wielding. It's focusing a bit too much on me, but that's fine. I'm going to get a couple more cards to clarify the soul work and ancestors card. Ancestors has this. And then the soul work has this, which really reminds me of the High Priestess, which is where that wisdom comes from. I think for some of you, not all of you especially, there might be, like, you don't feel especially connected to, I don't want to say your ancestors in general, but ancestors that are close to this lifetime. So within, I guess, the last couple of generations, you just don't feel as connected to them as you would maybe celestial ancestors or in the distant past, because I feel like you feel as though, or maybe not you, if this doesn't feel like it resonates, it's probably your shadow that just says, I don't think they really understand where we're coming from or what we want to accomplish. And there's almost this part that feels constrained by the expectations of people who just don't see the world in the way that it is right now, and in the way that you see the world as it is right now, which feels, again, like the odds are against you in some sense. But that's where the soul work comes in. Your soul has within it all of the answers, and I know that's a bit vague, but it's kind of like the droplet. A raindrop has the same particles as the ocean, well, more or less, it's made of the same stuff. And by looking at the particles within a raindrop, you could analyze what water is at a holistic, like, it's a complete analysis of water, that you don't need the entire ocean to understand its constituents. And I think those pieces are something that will reveal itself to you. So if you're wondering kind of like what your soul is or wants to say, I think that's something that again it's like part of this is saying, again, the money making potential isn't even close to what it can be, and that is almost a direct cause or correlation. It's like, it's hard to say this because the more that your shadow kind of lives through you in the waking world, the more money that you should be making, in other words. And I think the same could be said that you'll probably, before you're making this manifesting, manifesting money, you'll probably be more aware of not just your dreams, but become more lucid within them. And I think that's when like the two worlds will start merging and become one world, and your experience, I think, will radically shift, and that will also radically shift the perception of reality for the people around you. It's very big and bold and connecting to everything around you, and you won't feel as alone as you might feel right now. But yeah, I'm going to end the reading 1441. I think that's a good place. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of this reading. I'm probably going to do a second part to this, but not like part 2. It'll just be titled something different, but a direct sequel to this reading. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please let me know again in the comments, like, share, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi, Pile 2. If you chose this card, this is going to be your reading on what your shadow is keeping hidden from you and why. This card represents the why. We have a few cards here. I'm reading them as oracles mostly, but there's that card, there's this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 of Pentacles, and this card here kind of feels like a sword, maybe the Ace of Swords. And then we also have poisons and toxins, fear, negative thoughts, and self-loathing as to why this secret is being kept from you. I kind of feel like your shadow is worried about judgment, and it's kind of interesting because maybe you've had this judgment for yourself for a while. I could kind of, for some of you, I mean, this is very specific, maybe mild body dysmorphia for some. Of course, that's not going to be everyone, but it's in a lot of ways only seeing the negative parts of you physically. And I think maybe your shadow held on to some of that, especially in childhood, and it learned a way to kind of keep these blemishes away from your consciousness so that you just don't see them. But what's interesting is that these blemishes, again, hold some powerful secrets about yourself and some value in terms of your place in the world, But we're going to put this to the side because I want to get to the main part of the reading, which is what's being hidden from you. What is your shadow keeping behind closed doors? So you have the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, so far there's been a lot of Pentacles. 8 of Pentacles. The 7 of Pentacles in reverse. There's a lot of Pentacles in this reading. And the Hanged Man. I mean, I'm getting kind of similar messages. I'm going to actually do another row for this one, because it's very similar to pile 1. Death. King of Swords. 7 of Cups underneath the 7 of Pentacles. And 10 of Cups underneath the Hanged Man, with the Magician at the bottom of the deck. And this Magician kind of reminds me of this card that came up earlier, which is talking about your magic potential. Excuse me. And it feels very similar, honestly, to pile 1. So if you saw pile 1, and like, I would just go to maybe pile 3. But it's saying really that you could make money doing anything, absolutely anything. And it's like, it's just time spent in a place that eventually leads itself to your view of success. And I think part of it is that you've seen success in through a narrow lens. Here, let's see. That when you focus so much on the small picture, on the details, you might not even notice what you're creating. And maybe it's like your shadow is lacking like a grand scheme of things, so to speak. It's so focused on day-to-day tasks, or again, little details, or focusing on negativity to a certain extent. And this is something that I think has made you feeling stuck in a workplace or in a work situation. I think most of this reading has to do with career, or not being able to create a solid foundation for yourself, to the extent that you feel that you should be at this point. And then we have the 10 of Cups. It's just popping out to me underneath the Hanged Man. And it's just, I'm hearing the song Let It Happen by Tame Impala. Let it happen. And there's almost this yin and yang of they're reaching for the stars, and this hangman is reaching down to let that happen, to kind of touch the same heart, to touch the same sun. And all the cups are hidden in darkness. We're kind of noticing that theme as well with the 7 of Cups also being hidden in darkness. It's like there's this part your shadow wants you to explore a little bit more. I think there are more things that make you happy than you realize. More potentially hobbies, potentially types of people that you wouldn't normally consider interacting with. But there's a lot more potential around you than you or your shadow, or both. It's kind of a bit of both. It's like your shadow is so trained, in a sense, to look away. And it's almost like if you were afraid of the spider, you wouldn't bother trying to reach for these coins, because the spider is kind of scary. So in a lot of ways, the things that you seek are hidden behind a wall of fear. And it's like fear, if you're afraid of something, that's a sign to go towards it, because there's something magic. I mean, don't put yourself in danger, but there's magic behind this wall of fear. And the reason why most people don't cross or don't achieve the level of wealth, think of like 1%, 2%, or anything like that. I mean, yeah, some of that's inherited or whatever, but a lot of people hold themselves back, and that's because of fear, and because they'd rather play it safe and work for someone else than kind of take a leap of faith, make a huge investment and do something outside the box. But that's where you find the most fulfillment, potentially. And the more guided you are to do this, the more support you can potentially have, especially with spirit. I'm kind of noticing the same yin and yang here, up and down, a sword up, channeling the wisdom from spirit and bringing it down into the earth. And the same thing goes with the pentacles. It's kind of like an investment of the self. And again, it kind of feels like maybe you've been reluctant to invest in a certain thing, maybe school, or even, I'm thinking of Arthur Findlay College, which is a school for kind of mediumship, something like that, kind of taking your spirituality to the next level so that you have maybe certifications or something like that. and that can allow you to potentially charge more. This is for just a few of you. But I don't know, it feels like you've been holding yourself back, and your shadow is almost hiding the fact that you've been holding yourself back from you. It almost wants you to get uncomfortable so you could move forward. We have the Chariot. So you might not be fully aware of how comfortable you are in a place that your soul is uncomfortable being in. And we have the Seven of Wands, which could be saying, I'm going to put this down, whatever, but it could be saying that to stand up for the real passions that you have, because there's a lot of options, there's a lot of ways of making money, but not all of them are going to truly satisfy your soul. We have a dragon, we have a tower, a crown, a fire with a wreath, so it's kind of showing me the Six of Wands. Are you trying to impress other people and come across as successful and happy to others, or are you prioritizing the relationship with yourself and bringing that level of joy and success in a way that's measured by your own standard? So let's get a couple more oracle cards. Because this is a mini reading. Did I say that already? I don't remember if it was this pile or the last one. Speak truth and transmute. And these two go very well together. I think doors open up for you when you're completely honest with what your soul expression has. And we have the butterfly in the middle, which is trying to open its wings. The same goes for here. So there's a lot of, and that does happen, of course, when you're in conversations with people. Sometimes they need to hear something that just comes out of you, that's spoken through you, and because of who you are, whoever you're talking to is more likely to listen to you because they trust you, or because they're good friends with you, something like that. We do have the transmute card, so I'm going to get another, I think, tarot to clarify this one. What is it you're transmuting? You have kind of like the Joker. I think this is a page, but let's get another card, actually. Oh, there we go. So it kind of feels as though, and this card gives the reading a little bit of a different meaning, because with this poisons and toxins, and then the card that you chose at the very beginning of your reading, this could almost be a residual from a past relationship that didn't end that well. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, but I just saw 1122, but it does mean maybe a friendship that just left a part of you feeling a bit sour, and it's still a part of you. It's still connected to you, and I think your shadow is asking you to transmute that, let that go, kind of forgive, forget, release that burden, because I do think it might be clouding you a little bit and preventing you from moving forward. And then we do have that death card, which I haven't mentioned until this very moment, so that's probably part of it. And then we do see the Chariot as well. So the horse is that movement away from what is not even worth looking at, mentioning, and towards your own personal goals. But you can't move forward as smoothly when there's still kind of this anchor back towards, this person really hurt me, or I didn't say all the things I wanted to say, with the Speak Truth card and the King of Swords. To just put everything down, let them know how you feel. I think maybe there's this part of you that is afraid of an argument with this person, or with yourself, that this could have ended this way, or I could have been here if I didn't give so much of my time to you. And I could kind of hear that a lot. If I didn't take this job, I could have been at this other job that would have made me money, or I could have been investing in myself. Again, like, these choices were made, because they had to be made, because there was growth and lessons to be had from whatever person you were with or job you took or anything like that. So there is value, and I think by telling yourself that there wasn't value, it kind of brings you down and keeps hidden the growth you've had in, I think, the recent past, you know. And it's that growth that's going to allow you to catapult forward with newfound wisdom and strength, and even if it's just the knowledge of trusting your own foresight and your own intuition in navigating these situations that ultimately don't benefit you at all, or as much as you feel they should have. But it's all about forgiveness for this job, for this other person, this relationship, and then ultimately for yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and end the reading there. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully you enjoyed it a little bit or found it healing in some way. Please let me know in the comments. Please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you so much for staying with me, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi, Pile 3. If you chose this card, this is going to be your reading on what your shadow self is hiding from you, or keeping hidden from you, I should say. Let me adjust this light because I think it's kind of dark. Whoops. There we go. I believe this is the Seven of Cups. That's what I'm going to take it as. We also have the Two of Swords. And then what feels like the Fool card. And all of these represent why this is being hidden from you, why your shadow is deliberately keeping this thing hidden from you. The first thing I'm noticing is that I don't think your shadow thinks that you don't want to see it anyway. You haven't been willing to look at it or notice it regardless, so it really doesn't matter that it's hidden. Or it's naturally something that belongs underneath your level of consciousness. Like, it cannot exist. Yeah. It cannot, how do you say? It cannot exist at a conscious level. It's just something that has to be in the shadow. It has to be left unknown. And we got the oracle. It says predator and prey, chasing, grasping, and obsession. Kind of saying, what are you chasing? And I kind of feel like this has to do with the idea of freedom. But we're gonna find out. Well, as far as why, I kind of feel as though the why is that by having this thing, we'll find out, come to the surface, you'll feel bound, and maybe your shadow sees that by you not knowing this or not seeing this, you're more able to dance freely instead of running from something, running from potentially responsibility, running from pain. So let's see. What is your shadow keeping hidden from you? Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to do 2 rows of cards. Sorry, I'm all quiet. I'll do a couple more. Star. These are falling all over the place. And 3 of Wands. Queen of Wands, the bottom of the deck. So a few repeat cards wanted to pop up, and they keep popping up, despite having shuffled multiple times. So I'll just mention the ones that came up already, which is the Eight of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles, although this time it was upright, the Star, and I'm kind of seeing it's going back to why. It doesn't want you to give up on your dreams, on the outcome, the potential outcome of where it is that you're headed. But I think, like, oh, Four of Wands. Sorry, I'll just show you other cards first. Because it feels like your shadow is emphasizing how alone you are and how you almost cut yourself off from other people deliberately in order to achieve, well, not just success, but you're more comfortable in your own energy. And I think because this is in the middle of the reading, there's so much potential for you to really expand and let yourself free and into the world by giving more of yourself. Not just giving yourself as in lending your ear, because I think that's something that you naturally do. You just listen to other people, what they have to say. But I think it's more of making yourself look silly. And I think in that sense, that's what I'm getting with this Page of Pentacles. And it's almost like by putting yourself out there in that level, at that the willingness really to become that fool. And I don't know, I just feel like that would garner a lot more respect from others, and that with that respect you could build much bigger things than you're able to build on your own. Because I kind of feel like you're tired, and I think your shadow is also a little exhausted from trying to do everything on your own. And I think a team effort would really bring all of you to new heights. And we do have the Tower here, so maybe there's this part of you. Notice in this picture, by the way, that there aren't two people falling. There's usually like a king and queen that topple over with the Tower card with the lightning, but there's only one, and it's just potentially you or your shadow and that feeling. And I think there's people around you that want to be a part of your life that aren't allowed in, I think. And your shadow, I think, is a bit more aware of this than you might be. That, and look, we have the Queen of Wands here too, and the Devil. Look at that. It kind of feels as though you're keeping yourself chained, and I think that's why that Two of Swords came up earlier in the beginning of the reading. As to the why is there's this blindfold, and again, I guess this leads back to freedom in the first card that I had mentioned, the Fool right here, right? You want to dance and be free and be silly and let yourself go, and you don't have to. I think part of this has to do with at a young age you were forced into a responsible role. You had to grow up very fast, and that didn't allow you a lot of time to be silly, and that silliness was seen as unproductive. And I think your shadow wants you to be more aware of how being unproductive, not lazy, but wandering and discovering new things, and specifically interacting with different people, can bring out the same or greater outcomes than putting your head down and doing all the work yourself. Let's see. I guess I'll clarify something. Let's clarify this Eight of Pentacles. The Five of Cups. Yeah, like it hasn't been working. It doesn't feel that way, where maybe there is, I don't know, a small business that you've been trying to make happen, and you've been trying to make it happen for yourself, and no matter how much work you're putting in, it feels unsuccessful. And then at the two sides, there's opportunity. I think those represent people on two sides of you, the same people that are here, the Three of Pentacles, and they're on the right and the left side. There's a lot more support around you than you realize, and I think, again, this right and left side, they're the ones who are going to help bring whatever it is that you want to bring into reality with you. And by sharing the burden with them, it doesn't make you less powerful. I think that that's kind of what your shadow is hiding and doesn't want to admit, is that there's almost so much of a desire to do things on your own, with this Queen of Wands and the Three of Wands being here. And look, these two form a union in a way. I mean, it's not the King and Queen, but I'm surprised that the Three of Wands has a crown on them. Two sides, two halves of the same whole. And we have this Devil card kind of taking control. And these are both you. You're trying to play all of the roles to yourself, right? To, again, most of this reading, I think, has been career oriented, but it's almost like, and I'm guilty of this, of wanting to be in a new relationship, but again, not wanting to be in a new relationship, or wanting friends but not wanting friends. Wanting a new job but not wanting to have a new job. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Where even when there's people around you and opportunities, there's almost a disgust to the potential of being let down again, because I think you've been let down by people so often that you're like, how could they possibly help me get my goals, you know? But we have Get Wild, and this is the third time I've mentioned kind of that Fool energy, this giving yourself up to people. Dance more, play more, be silly, show your true colors. And I think that's what the Star is also doing. It's very vulnerable. She's literally translucent. She is the Star manifest on Earth, and completely revealing herself, by the way. And then we do have the Death card, which is a release of your own constraint, especially with this Devil being here. Very much tied down to your idea of what people are, as opposed to their potential and what they can be and what they can provide for you. Let's get one more card for the Death card. Destruction. Are you kidding me? You've got that's not helpful. Come on. I just thought it was funny. We had the Death card, and I was like, clarify the Death card. Destruction. It's an ending of being tied down to your own expectations of who you should be for others and who others ought to be for you. It's more of living in the moment and being more spontaneous. And if this lightning were to strike, would you be screaming all the way down, or would you kind of do like a swan dive or start doing flips in the air or something like that, kind of being silly while falling? Can you enjoy that rush of adrenaline that comes from being that high and going down and seeing it as a game as opposed to failure? I think that's a very big shift that can kind of send shockwaves through to your subconscious, through to your shadow. And once that shadow is transformed and gone through this death and rebirth, it could be an incredibly powerful ally in helping you step out of your comfort zone and into places you never thought you'd be. But I think it's in those places that you'll find the most satisfaction and success. Did I breathe? I don't remember. Anyway, that's probably a bad sign. Anyway, it's 14:04. I'm gonna end the reading here. Hopefully you enjoyed it, found it helpful, somewhat entertaining, a little bit entertaining, because I know this reading ended up being a bit heavier than I anticipated, even though it was shadow. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment, let me know what you thought, like, share, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. So let's talk about these bracelets. I was sent these by Otter Spirit, and I wanted to give again a shout out to Otter Spirit for sending me these bracelets and for sponsoring this video. I chose the Bloodstone, the Green Jade, and Red Jasper. The Red Jasper I really wanted for strength, being a Capricorn rising, and then the Green Jade, I just like green, and the color is so vibrant and it really does help with my heart chakra. The website was easy to navigate. You can search by zodiac sign, you can search by intention. It's filled with information, and I really love that about the website. But most importantly, like, the quality is just top notch. It really feels great on the wrist. There's a certain weight to it. You know, I've had a few other gemstone bracelets that kind of feel cheap, especially that band in the middle. So, I mean, it stands out. The packaging is gorgeous. They, donate $1 from each bracelet to help support otters, which is really cool. And they're a small kind of family-owned brand, so I feel good with making each purchase. So I highly recommend that you give them a try. Again, if you're in the market for gemstone, jewelry, bracelets, things like that, I do have the code blackdragon20, or you can use the link in the description to get 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for supporting the channel, and I hope to see you in the next reading.